question of the witness. I think that he is here with us. I keep feeling like I'm getting to the party just when everyone is leaving. I don't need an audience for every feeling, but God, I know this one I do. I can see.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of If It Be Your Will podcast. Summer is coming. I'm starting to feel it out here in the East Coast. We're going to reach across to the West Coast, I believe. Or I guess, Josaleigh, it's kind of middle America, right? I mean, Salt Lake City, I'm trying to get my bearings. But I think you're kind of more middle America.
Exactly. I always hear it referred to as like the Mountain West. So we're not technically West Coast, but we are on the way out there. We're not really the Southwest, but we are a desert. So
it's confusing, right? Like people can understand my confusion. Desert, mountains, like it's it's a mystical place, we'll say. I have Josaleigh Pollett coming in from Salt Lake City. To come in and talk about her record that's coming out this summer. That's why I was kind of getting the summer vibes. So this, the latest record that they're putting out is If I Let It Quiet. July 24th, this summer, dropping. So I'm very excited. I was so happy to kind of get a preview of the listen. Your beautiful people sent me a little MP3 over, and I was able to listen to the whole record completely because I was kind of obsessing on Witness, and Witness was one of the tracks. And let me get the other one that you have, Radio
Player.
Mm-hmm,
yep.
Which that song I want to talk about too because it's such a great song. Anyway, I got to listen to the totality, and I was like, oh my God, you guys are going to love this. So listeners, keep that on your radars. If I Let It Quiet, coming out July 24th. Josaleigh, I thank you so much for this. I've been really getting a deep dive into you, and I have a ton of questions, and I'm going to condense it all down to about 25 minutes. I'll talk super fast. No. I'm very curious about your beginnings. Like your songwriting seems to evolve, like it's continuously growing and maturing. And where were some of those moments where you knew that this was the direction or the trajectory that you wanted to be on as, a singer, songwriter, writing, putting out records, a lot of do-it-yourself stuff in there as well. I should say that. A lot of your first dabblings were you. And then you had your beautiful Jordan from Crowd Shy become a creative collaborator with you. But even before all of that, can you kind of like paint a little picture of what pulled you towards this direction of wanting to write songs and put them out in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. I love this question, and I am so glad. It feels so validating that it feels like there's been a through line of maturity and growth through my songwriting, because I feel that songwriting is the way that I process the world. It's always been a little bit of a given. I grew up in a very musical household, and as soon as I was old enough to have memories, I remember writing songs about what was happening to me. It was just like, well, I'm going to sing about my day, and I'm going to sing about how this feels, and I'm going to sing about what we're doing later. And it just felt like the way that I wanted to process the world. And as I grew older and had more vast and a wide varying array of experiences, those experiences translated into just different ways of writing songs and handling more complex emotions and navigating life through songwriting. And I feel like it's, whether it's a matter of just growing or the age that I am now, it's also there comes this like somewhat natural clarity with getting older, where it's like, oh, I understand myself a little bit better. And I do every year, maybe a little bit more, even if life is complicated in other ways. But I do feel like there's this this ever-growing feeling of self-understanding that I like wrap my brain around a little bit more. And songwriting has been so intrinsically a part of that since I was a kid, where it's how I understand myself and it's how I interpret the world. If I have an experience, sometimes I don't really know how I feel about it until I've sat down to like write about it. And usually that comes through songwriting. And then it's like after I've written a song, I'm like, oh, that's how I felt about that situation to approach it from this like roundabout sort of way. So I'm really grateful. I think it feels very life affirming that there is maturity found through the evolution of the songwriting, because then it feels like it's real and representative of my experience of just being alive and growing and learning new things about myself and the world all the time.
Yeah. And it puts it in this tangible sound where it's archived, you know, it's out there now for the world to listen to. Your understanding, hopefully that influences others to start figuring their shit out as well. You know, like it has this kind of like passing on of here's some things I figured out here. Like, thanks. Like
that connective tissue with other people is such a huge part of it, where everybody's learning similar things, but at very different times in their lives all the time. And I think I'm always learning about myself through other people's lyrics, where something will land on me and I'll be like, whoa, I got to think about that for a week.
Yeah,
so to the hope that I can provide that for other people too, just through my own lens and through my own experience is so helpful. And to be able to look back at old songs that I've written, sometimes it's a very surprising experience of like, oh, I have always felt this way. Even 10 years ago, I think I'm so different, but I go back and listen to a song I wrote 10 years ago. I'm like, I'm the same little shit I always have been. But then other times I'll be like, wow, I feel so vastly different than this. It's amazing to see this change and grow. Mm-hmm.
I love that. Now, most people, I'll say, I'll speak in generals to begin, and then we'll whittle it down a bit. Most people will journal, you know, prose, stories, storytelling, just a way to kind of, like you say, figure yourself out and process. And then they put them in books and they put them on the shelf and they sit there. Josaleigh decides, I'm going to write these down. I'm going to put music to them and I'm going to go and perform these in front of people. How did that step happen? Now, you said that you've always been a singer-songwriter from as long as you can remember. Do you remember that moment where it went from, I'll do this, you know, within my family, and to, I want to share this stuff and I want to put myself out there? Was that a hard process for you? Can you kind of walk us through a little bit of that realization of there's more that I want to do with this? It can't just be locked in my mind or in a journal or on a cassette tape. Like, what was that process that you went through from being a singer-songwriter to becoming performing of a singer-songwriter?
Yeah. Also such a good question. And when you put it that way, it's like, wow, this is an insane thing that people do.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a question I often ask because I just find there's such a big gap between, I mean, tons of people journal and try to write things down to deal with. But then this performative part that comes in there, sometimes I ask that question and it's perplexing at times, and you got to think about it a bit. So there I'm laying, I'm handing the platter over now to you, Josaleigh. What was that for you? Like that transition, I guess.
It's so funny to think about it and to try and pinpoint where that happened. I think because music and other people's music was such a formative piece of my childhood. My dad's whole world is going to shows, playing in bands, watching music videos and concert films. And we have very meticulous concert films that we watch on every holiday. And we did that from a very young age. So I think just watching people perform music was so tied into the act of writing itself to me. It was just like they never felt like two different things, even though they are drastically different things. Like sitting down and writing a song for yourself to figure out how you feel about something, so bafflingly different than like getting up in front of people to perform it later. But they always felt like I couldn't separate the two, and they always just made sense to me together. So I always thought when I was younger of like, well, if I'm writing songs, it's a no-brainer. It's a given that means performance is part of that. Like I feel really grateful that I kind of never separated them in my brain as a really young person, because I think I had this like naive childhood bravery on my side, because as soon as I started like really writing my own songs and recording my own songs, and I just was like, well, I must perform them now. Like that's part of this process. I've written it, I've recorded it, I have a song. The final step is to go out there and share it with people. And it's because I'd been going to shows and I'd been witnessing so many live performances my whole life that it just felt so connected. Such a necessary part of writing and creating music in general. So it was really, it's hard to pinpoint like a specific time, because it just always was there of like, well, I've got to figure out how to perform this. And I think back on it now, and I'm in awe of my young self often, because I was so brave about it. Like I would just go to the local record store and like look at the flyers and be like, oh, well, that's where shows are happening. So I'm going to go to their website or like find this email or call this number and just like reach out to them and say, hey, I have these songs. If you need like a local opener, or if you're setting up an open mic. I was reaching out to like local restaurants, because I was like, at that point I'd started writing my own songs, but I had started playing the guitar around like 9 or 10, and then just slowly started building out my like all the covers of all the songs that I loved. So I had this like 2-hour set list basically by like 14 or 15. And it was just like, I got well, I have no choice but to go play these songs in front of people. And it never even crossed my mind that I could just like keep it to myself. It's something, maybe that's like this strange, like audience seeking, like ego thing within me, where it's just like, no, people got to hear this. It's great.
Right.
I'm glad I had that like overinflated self-confidence as a young person, because I was so brave and just made things happen. By the time I was 19, I already had like a very well-rehearsed, like well-practiced restaurant set that I was getting paid for, and I was playing local restaurants all the time, and they were asking me to come back regularly, and I was putting myself through college by working a bunch of jobs, and that was one of them, was also like performing and doing gig stuff for music. And it just like because I loved it so much, and because it felt a given as far as how I was processing the world, I was like, well, why wouldn't I just be like trying to also be doing this in a way that's helping me and like getting me a free meal and free beer when I need it. Like it just made so much sense and clicked in, and it never really felt like this decision. It was just like, oh yeah, that's just what I do. That's who I am. And everything else I got to figure out. But at least this part will be stable and the same in some capacity, in the fact that I'm just doing it all the time.
Yeah, totally. It sounds very organic, your early history, where one thing just kind of led into the next quite naturally. You know, it just was like your calling almost, like where there didn't have to be a decision. It's who I am. Like here it goes.
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel so lucky for that. I keep waiting, because everything else in my life changes so aggressively and drastically as I get older on a regular basis, that I keep waiting for the way I interact with and engage with my music to change or drift or adjust. And it does, but never at its core. It always stays this like, well, that's always going to be there. And I don't even have to really make a choice. Like I work really hard at it, but that part never feels like I have to like decide if I'm going to do it or not. It's always just like, well, I'm going to do it. Now I got to figure out how.
Right. Well, and you challenge yourself, like you said, like I was listening to quite a bit Bro's Bad January and then Everyone's Bad January, right? So this is when you spent January a song a day, very religiously going about it, getting something down, ticks and all, it's all there. It's, I love it. I mean, I think that was, but that is hard. Like songwriting, it like to that extent, what was, sorry, I'll have to edit this out here. Oh, sorry. What was the intent behind? Was it to force yourself? Like, was that like, where were you at with songwriting when that kind of idea came to you that, like, I want to get my chops like super down here now. Like, I want my process, because you would have to have a process if you're doing it daily. Like, what was the angle, or was it multiple angles that you decided to take on that challenge where you're having to put something down on tape every day for a month? Like, what were some of the reasonings and your expectations, I guess, in going through that process?
Yeah, it's such an undertaking. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I think I was in just the right headspace to be just a little like overly optimistic about like how it could fit into my life. When I first decided to do it was January 2025, so just over a year and a half ago. And I was in this very interesting headspace where Jordan, my best friend and collaborator, had just moved about 8 months prior to a new country, and we knew we had our regular hangouts and we were FaceTiming once a week, and we had been talking about creating new music and we had plans for new music, but we didn't really have like a super set structure. We had like ideas flowing here and there, but nothing was like concrete. And I had so much weird insecurity around this time because I had become so dependent on Jordan when he lived here. As far as creativity goes, it was like, oh, well, I know we're always going to be making stuff together, and you're here and you make me better as a songwriter. And when he moved away, I had this like weird insecurity that started coming up, especially around playing shows solo again, because we'd been playing shows as a duo for like the last few years. And I felt like my music had changed so much and our relationship had grown me so much as a person that it felt kind of like going backwards a little bit, where I'm like, oh, well, now I'm going back to playing shows by myself without you. Are people going to like that? Like your production and what you bring to my music and my lyrics, like, has created this thing that people are really enjoying. And like at its core, I was struggling with this feeling of just like what I do is not enough on its own anymore, because I now know the incredible feeling of collaborating with my best friend and creating something that's more than the sum of both of us. So I was just really struggling to find my own songwriting as like fulfilling enough again. And I knew that Jordan and I were going to continue to collaborate and continue to work on songs together, but it felt really important to me at that time to get back to a place where I felt proud of myself as a songwriter, just as a songwriter, and to really dedicate myself to honing it as my craft and knowing that, like, regardless of what would happen with my collaboration with Jordan or my collaboration with anybody, I knew that I still had myself and I still could write songs that I was proud of. And that practice, the timing of it was all really, really interesting and perfect, because I had like fairly recently gone through a breakup. I had fairly recently quit drinking. And also my dog had just had this major surgery. So I was like trapped in my house by myself with my dog. And it was January in Utah, which that year was like covered in snow and dark and gloomy. And I was like, I can either let this month totally take me and my mental health out, or I can shift it to this like very productive self-exploration of like, what does my songwriting practice look like when it's just me and I just have my silly, sober, present brain? What does it sound like in there? I don't know. And this is how I need to figure it out. So that was an invaluable practice of doing that and learning that I can make things that I'm proud of, and I can do something and commit to it and do it just on my own and feel proud of it. And it didn't devalue my collaborations, but it made me show up more wholly to them because I had pride in myself and confidence in myself. And it was, an absolutely insane undertaking that I really cannot believe that I did it again this year.
I was just going to say twice, not only one time.
So much work. It was just enough. A year is just enough time to forget how awful it is.
Right.
And this year was totally different because I involved a lot of other people. I kind of facilitated it as like a group project. So I had lots of friends from all over the country be a part of it. And I was way busier. I did not have the excuse of a sick dog at home. I was like getting the album done, and I was working on working my day job and working on a bunch of other stuff. And I'm like, this was a really stupid idea, actually. I'm like running myself ragged, and then it's 11 p.m. and I'm like, Mark, I have to write a song today.
1 hour to go. It's
completely different experience, but also like came with its own set of learnings and pushing me as a songwriter and teaching me about time management in a way that I haven't had to deal with in my creative world in a long time.
Right. Well, I love that too. What you just said is that not only does it help your craft, but it helps all the infrastructure around that craft as well, right? It's not oftentimes we forget about the monotony of music making sometimes that just...
And there's so much of it. There's the actual music making is a pretty small percentage of like putting out DIY records, and it's easy to forget that. I swear I get like the Men in Black like memory eraser every time I finish an album, because I'm like, I forget about how much logistic work and communication and back and forth it is for so long after you're done with the record or before you even start working on the record. It's just
right.
So much.
Well, and this new record has its own story of exactly that, right? The collaboration from afar.
Yeah.
Before I ask you that question, because I'm fascinated about that, but did that writing a song a day inform you on this new record? Like, did anything come out of that process that you did those 2 months over that you found its way into If I Let It Quiet?
So I was actually surprised that more from the first Bros Bad January didn't make it onto the record, because going into the month, I was like, we're in this writing phase of the record. I'm certainly going to pull a lot from this that will end up on this. I'm hopeful. That's like part of, I'm adding fire to this engine that I'm hoping will turn into this. And it's funny because only actually one of the 31 songs actually made it onto the record in any way, shape, or form. And it's very different, but it's the last song on the record. But it helped in such a different way than I was expecting. I think it prepared me for the intensity of creating this record, because it didn't use the same part of my brain that I was using to write songs for the record. It was interesting because I was approaching songs for the record in this very emotional, very like real, authentic, this is the feeling that I'm processing. I'm doing this. It has to be in its own world, and I'm very intentional and meticulous about it. And then the song a day was very much a like, here's the prompt I'm doing today. I'm applying this part of my brain. It's very much a like it's got a process. It's got a plan. I'm like trying to hone in my chops as a songwriter when it comes to which words I'm using or structure, but I'm not really putting the emotions into it in the same way that I was with the songs for the actual record. But it really did. It helped me practice that making this record across such a great distance between Salt Lake City and Japan, and just approaching it the way Jordan and I wanted to, which was, we don't want to do the same thing we've done before. We want to push ourselves. We want to take risks. We want to make something that is exciting and makes us proud of it. And that was really hard. There were so many weeks where it was just like, oh my God, we've been hitting our head against the same thing, and there were so many songs where we would retrack and be like, this chorus isn't working and I don't know what's going to make it work. And we'd be like, oh, this is what's making it work. And then the next week we'd get together and both of us would be like, it's not working. Like, what do we do here? And we were running into that so much that I think it was like the song a day challenge was kind of like practice, like the putting me in my like rocky like boxing ring of just like I gotta train for this, like, because it's gonna be a marathon later. I'm making so many sports analogies right now. Can you tell that I'm not?
I love it.
But
Yeah.
But yeah, it helps just prepare me for the mental and physical and emotional slog that we would find in moments of creating the record itself.
Right. And you had said just prior here that you guys didn't want to do something you had done before, right? You wanted it to feel different, to evoke different whatevers. What was kind of your thesis coming into this record together? Like, how did you verbalize that to one another, that we didn't want it to just be something like we had done before? Not saying that, like, In the Garden by the Weeds, I mean, what a record. But it is a departure. Well, if I let it quiet, it's a departure from that in a way. Like, that's where I first thought that there was such growth happening and such maturity that was coming into it. So what was it that you guys had envisioned that being different meant to you guys both?
Yeah, there was so much that fed into conversations around what we wanted to do on a new record. I think we were kind of approaching it from two really big ways. And one was just that Jordan and I are both not perfectionists, but definitely like our own biggest like critic and also cheerleader and also enemy, and can really, really hold both of ourselves individually to such a high standard. And we are both such music fans and listeners of so much good stuff, in my humble opinion, that it's like we hold ourselves to such a high standard because I think we both just really love really good music. And anytime we would talk about what we wanted to do next, we were always just like looking to so many different inspirations and trying to just say, like, trying to close the gap between like what we thought we were creating and then what we really admired. And we knew that we had to just continue to take risks and change and grow. And we weren't really sure how we were going to do that. We knew that we wanted to bring in different collaborator to help with like some production ideas and to mix the record. We knew that that would just like logistically and technologically help us advance a little bit, because In the Garden by the Weeds had been me and Jordan did everything. And by that, I mean, mostly Jordan did everything. He produced it and he mixed it all, and we sent it off to get mastered at the very end. But it was Jordan wearing so many hats. And we knew going into a new record that we wanted to bring somebody in that allowed Jordan to focus more on the production and the creativity that comes in production. So he wasn't getting lost putting a mixing hat on before we were ready to do that. And my benefit of my collaboration with Jordan is that he pushes me. He knows how to collaborate with me in a way that helps me grow as a songwriter. He knows, he's so good at being like, that's a good chorus. You can do so much better. Like, I believe you can push that. And there was so much of that both on In the Garden and in this process. And I don't have the same technological chops that Jordan does. So I can't look at what he's done in like an Ableton session and be like, you could really do better on that EQ.
Turn that knob a little bit more and play around with that slider a bit.
Totally. I'm just like, the technological side, I couldn't push him in the same way. I could emotionally, and when we were working on the writing side of things, but we knew we wanted to have somebody that could push Jordan's his standards for himself even higher, because we just knew we were capable of that. And also the kind of other piece to this was that with the move happening, because so Jordan moved in spring of 2024. So In the Garden had been out for about 8 or 9 months. And we knew we wanted to continue working on something, but we also wanted to really prioritize our friendship. And we wanted to not push collaborating on like taking on another immense amount of work immediately, that because he moved to Japan and he didn't speak the language, and it was this very, very big new change for him. He was moving in with his partner, and so there was just so much that was up in the air and uncertain for him in moving to a new place, and then also me and my best friend no longer being in the same city as me. So there was just like so much uncertainty in the air already. And all of our conversations around what we wanted our music to look like, usually they involved me just full of grief and covered in snot and tears and being like, I support you and I love you, but like, I'm so sad that you're leaving and I don't know how to navigate this and process it. And the way that we kind of handled those conversations together was to just get really clear on the painful part of this process will be if we try to keep it the same. If we add all of these new changes and this great distance and we try and do the same thing that we just did, I think it's a recipe for failure and pain. And we have to be so open to doing things completely differently, because I think that's what's going to help us not only like make something we're more proud of, but like emotionally handle all of the vast amount of changes that we've gone through to get to this point. So it was very much this just like this plan of, I don't know what we're doing, but it's got to be really different and we have to be okay with that. So
I mean, there's your maturity right there, right? Like realizing and talking about and reflecting on that we can't repeat that same it won't work. You know, like we have to grow from that. And you did. I mean, in my opinion, like I just
yeah, that's been the wild part of finishing this record, and the weird like meta-ness of like completing the process of it, because the record is about handling the change and the distance between us, but it is also how we handle the change and the distance between us. And like so much of the subject matter was just like we were writing it about the things we were feeling at the time, and the complicatedness of like trying to figure things out and misunderstandings and trying to get on the same page from such a great distance. And instead of fighting that and saying like, God, this sucks, it's not working, we were able to say like, what if we just lean into that and say, we know that this is going to be weird and crazy, and so why don't we make the feeling of the music weirder and crazier to accommodate what is happening in our lives and lean into that in this way? And I remember like listening to the final mixes with him after we got them. I'm like getting goosebumps even talking about it, because it was just like both of us were just like, oh my God, like this sounds like our last 2 years, and it feels like us in this new way that we were not expecting. And it just like, it ended up so much bigger and greater than we were ever expecting it to be, that we were so proud of it because we were able to achieve that. Like, we can't hold on to anything too tight. We have to just like let it happen and see how it changes us. And then to like be on this side of it and be like, oh my, like it really changed us. And there is some like a listenable documentation of that is a wild feeling.
Totally. Well, and I found too, like a couple of layers that I found your vocals have just gotten really solid. That second track, radio player. I mean, it's probably some of your best vocals and I've been saturating myself in your work. I think that's such a powerful song. And it is this communication, because you can feel Jordan through the nuances that he's bringing in that are supporting you and also highlighting what you're doing in this super subtle way. I mean, I just think it's so brilliant the way that you guys manipulated, and I don't want to call them simple folk songs, but songs that sound amazing with you and your guitar, right? Like those a song a day recordings, beautiful, lovely lyrics, lovely delivery. But then you put this whole other sonic layer on top of it that's emotional. It makes all these other emotions come through, not only your lyrics and the melody, but how you guys crafted all of these other intricate electronic sounds embedded within each of the songs. And that's why I was so happy to get the whole record, because the flow of it, I mean, it just feels so flowy and like an emotion in a record. You know, it can't be like kind of one piece at a time. It has, like, I just love the flow and how you guys built them together.
Thank you. That means the world.
Yeah, well, I think that just through us having this little conversation, I got this great insight into you in this process that you go through, and how it's evolving. I mean, it's continuously evolving. And like you said, this is an artifact that you guys created. Here it is, world. I'm really excited for the July 24th release for you. Can you maybe give us a little insight to what's coming down the pipe with this? So the record drops this summer, and then what can your fans and new listeners anticipate that they'll see? Josaleigh, where are you going to be at? What's going to be happening?
Yeah. So I feel I like every night basically for the last 2 months, and then for the next 3 months just feels like I'm so excited. I'm too excited to go to sleep, because as soon as we finished the record, like mastered the record, it was like, all right, well, I want to book shows on this. I want to do this tour. And part of mine and Jordan's like agreement of our creative collaboration and creative partnership and him moving away is that he because of the nature of his setup in Japan, he is able to come back and visit for longer periods of time. So our kind of hope for this record when we were making it was that we would be able to tour it together. And so as soon as we finished the record, we just immediately were like, all right, well, what does the summer look like for us? Like, how long are you willing to step away from your life in Japan and come stay here and practice this live set in person and give it to people in this way that feels like correct for it, and in this way that feels collaborative and right to kind of release this record in the way that we want to and the way that feels appropriate for it. So the record comes out on July 24th, but Jordan actually gets here in like 3 weeks. So I haven't seen him. He came back and stayed for about a month. We played a big festival show last spring, and he stayed here for about a month, but I haven't seen him since then. So I get to see him for the first time in a few weeks for the first time since we've made this record. I get to see him in person. He gets to be here. We're already talking about like the food we're going to make and the movies we're going to watch. And I feel so lucky and incredibly grateful that we get to do this part of it together, because especially going into the making of the record, it was so uncertain as far as like, well, I don't know if Jordan gets to Japan and things change with the situation and he can't come back, or, you know, foreign wars and travel prices and all of these things that could keep us from being able to do those things.
It's not like the world is making it easier for you guys.
No. You can't control any of that. So just the fact that right now, like we have this confirmed plan, and he's going to be here, and we get to play it with our friend Ken Vallejos, who's going to be our drummer for this tour that we're doing. We're just doing a Pacific Northwest tour. So we're starting off in Salt Lake City, but then going up through Washington and Oregon, down the California coast, doing a 2-week-long tour at the end of July, beginning of August. And it'll be my first tour with a band. I've only done one other solo tour before. So that feels like another new way to take this thing that's a given that I'm always going to be doing and like change it into this new phase of things and this new learning. And I get to do it all with Jordan. So we've got a couple more singles that'll come out before the record does that I'm just so excited about, especially because I think The Witness, the song that we just put out, we're so proud of it and we love that song. And the next single that comes out in June, we picked a little bit of a weirder one. It's like technically the title track for the record, and it doesn't really have a chorus, and it's got my weirdest like background vocal stuff going on that I recorded like late one night while listening to too much Paul Simon. And like I'm really excited to start sharing that, because I think while we're taking this release seriously and we're working with Audio Antihero to get more ears on it, hopefully, we're also like, this is our weirdest record. We're hoping it's accessible, but it's also like, this is a snapshot of us like taking some big swings a little bit. And so I'm excited for the next song to come out, because I think The Witness is maybe a more accessible track. And then we're like going to hit them with a little weirder of a single. But is one of my favorite songs on the record. So this is the fun part where it's like, I know what this record means to me, and now I get to see what it means to other people and what people like or are drawn to about it. It's and so fun to release The Witness and have so many people be like, this line, and they're all giving me different lines, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is the best. This is the best part about being a songwriter, is seeing like what's making people feel seen and understood, especially in a song that's about feeling seen and understood. I'm like, oh my God, this is so fun. I can't believe this is my life.
Well, I'm really excited for you. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of great times coming down the pipe real fast soon. I wish you guys all the best with the release and the show and just the reunion again. It's great when your kindred soul that you're so attached to, you can be in the same physical area for a while. So
yeah, thank you so much, Chris. Yeah, even just like mentioning that this will be the first time we hang out, like I think that was the first time my brain really wrapped around like all of the like any sort of little like hiccups or slogs or like hard things we hit during like the production of the record. Like we haven't been able to just like hug it out yet.
yeah.
Be like, I just need a hug.
You might need a night of just kind of crying and like yelling. And, like,
and so I'm like feeling very emotional, just like thinking about like, oh, he gets to be here and we can just like veg. Like I'm so excited for that.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for taking some time. I've gone over time, but I just so enjoyed hearing your stories, and it's such a great history that you've presented to us of your trajectory and this new record and your collaborators and songwriting process and on and on. So Josaleigh Pollett, go and check it out. If you can see her, see them play live, go and see it. And this new record, I've heard it. I love it. I'm going to go and play it right now. Don't turn the episode off. I'm going to stop talking. But we're going to listen to, at the end of this, The Witness.
And thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much, Josaleigh. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Thanks. All the best.
Question of the witness. I think that he is here with us. I keep feeling during small talk. It's not that I'm crying over weather, it's just